So for those of you guys who don't know who Marshall Hawks is, he started off in solar, became a top closer in Utah. In 2019, he went out and decided to get into pest control. His first year did 1,200 accounts as a rookie in pest control, which is absolutely insane. 2020, which blows my mind, is you decided to get into ownership, ran the most successful branch at Fox. 2022, went out, decided to get a golden door as an owner, knocking part-time from, was it 5 p.m. on?
Yeah, I mean, it varied day to day,
Yeah.
4 or 5, had all your ownership meetings in the morning and in the afternoon, and then getting on the doors. And then usually Saturday I'd get a full day just to make up, so.
That's nuts. And then it was 2023 where you exited Fox, and 2024 decided to go out and do 1.5 million in revenue, 1,700 accounts, and did it with a 90% retention.
Yeah, so 2023, I didn't know what I wanted to do because Fox had just sold. So they basically take off the golden handcuffs and you're free to do what you want to do. I felt like I had not ever really touched my true ceiling on the doors. Mm-hmm. I didn't want to rush into the next thing.
Yeah.
So I went out. My goal was to do 2 million and 2,000 homes. So that was my goal, was to do 2,000 homes and 2 million in revenue. I ended with 1,730 accounts. So 1,730 accounts and 1.52 million in revenue is where things ended.
So you kind of have done it all. I mean, from, being in the corporate world, exited a company, sold at a super high level. I guess I want to start with, what do you feel like as far as young reps go or college kids trying to figure out what they're trying to do? What do you feel like is the biggest lie they're being sold?
Yeah, I think the lie that they're being sold is that if you get a college degree, mm-hmm. that you're going to have a safe route to punching a pension, retiring, and supporting a family, buying a house, all of that. Mm-hmm. We live in a different world today. In preparation for this podcast, I looked into, in the 1970s and 1980s, the average cost of a 4-year tuition to a public university was $738 per year. Mm-hmm. So that's what you spent in the 1970s, 1980s per year to go to college.
That's ridiculous.
Today, it's over $9,000. So it has went up hundreds of percentage points above and beyond inflation. And not only that, but in the 70s and the 80s, only 22% of people that were in their 20s entered the workforce with a college degree.
Yeah.
Today, it's over 40%. So you're not that unique anymore, and it costs a lot more money to even get the college degree. So I think the lie that they're being sold is that what used to be safe for our parents is today now the new risky. That's the risky route, that a college degree doesn't equate to skill. Mm-hmm. It doesn't equate to you being unique or different in the workplace, and that employers are starting to see through that and say, we want people that are skilled more than we want somebody who just got a 4-year degree.
Well, why do you think so many people still choose that route? I mean, I don't know if you've ever recruited out of Utah, but talking to kids about door-to-door and sales and being an entrepreneur, it's still so foreign to them. Why do you think they still decide to go that safe route, knowing that a college degree doesn't make you stand out that much?
Yeah, I think it's we've started to see the impact of more and more kids graduating college and the weight of that degree not carrying as much value. Mm-hmm. But it's a newer phenomenon. Mm-hmm. That it's they see their parents, and their parents went to school. Their parents got a degree, and now their parents have a job, and they've worked that job for the last 30, 40 years. So I think they assume that following in those same footsteps mm-hmm. will yield them a similar result. But the world we live in today is just vastly different than it used to be.
Yeah.
So it's not to say you shouldn't go to college. You know, I've got 2 younger brothers, and I told them when they started going to college, like, only go to college if you know what you want to be. Mm-hmm. And if getting a degree is a requirement to becoming that person who holds that job. But today, I mean, I went to college, and I don't use my college degree at all. Could that change down the road? Yeah, sure, maybe. But I think the skills I've developed outside of college carry far more weight. And when I was in college, it was like 70-80% of kids in their first, second year had no idea
what they wanted to do,
what they were doing. They were just taking their generals. They're trying to figure it out, right? And I'm all for figuring it out, but it's like, go do a couple internships. Go work a couple jobs in different industries to find, what you like, what you're good at, and go learn skills. So I am a believer in, like, trade schools. I think trade schools carry a lot more weight because you're developing a specific set of skills versus, oh, yeah, I got a degree, and half the time I was learning philosophy and social sciences and biology and all these, mix of, classes.
So walk me through what it was like in your mind when you were kind of trying to figure out what you wanted to do.
Yeah, so I got home from an LDS mission when I was 20. I went to Tokyo, Japan. I was working as a waiter part-time while going to school.
Hold on, how was Tokyo, Japan, out of curiosity?
It was wild.
I just got back there from 3 days, and it was like I was in a foreign
Dude, I tell everybody there's two places you have to go in your life, and that's South America, specifically Brazil, and Tokyo, Japan.
Yeah.
Just because they're so different than anything here in the U.S. So it was awesome. But yeah, I came home when I was 20. I was going to school, getting my generals for my undergrad, and I was working part-time as a waiter. Within 5 or 6 months of doing that job, I realized, like, hey, my earning potential is not going up. And I've learned and extracted all the skills I felt like I could learn and extract from that job after 5 or 6 months of doing it. So it was perfect timing. A buddy of mine approached me about doing sales. His pitch to me was, hey, if you get good at this, you're already a really, really hard worker.
Yeah.
If you can learn the skill side of it and combine that with your work ethic, then you have unlimited earning potential, and you can make more and more and more if you're willing to put in the work and continue to improve. Whereas as a waiter, you only have so much control on what kind of tip somebody's going to leave on their tab.
So when you had that buddy approach you as far as sales go, what were your original thoughts and feelings around it? Like, what did that all look like the day it happened? What did he called you, texted you?
Yeah, we were just up at a family friend's house, and he just brought it up casually in a conversation. I was looking for a change. I was tired of being a waiter. It kind of grown monotonous doing the same thing.
No, for sure.
So I was really open, and I was young. And fortunately, I mean, the job wasn't strictly commission. It was base hourly plus commission that I ended up taking it. And then within a few months, I realized, wait a second, can I just do the straight commission and get rid of this base? Right? Yeah. Some people want the safety. I think I did initially. But then once you get good at it, you realize, wait a sec, let's do the math. And
realize that you could make a lot more on 100% commission.
100%, yep.
So it sounds like because you had a buddy, you kind of had some trust there. Like, yeah, you're willing to try it. Like, it wasn't super scary at all. You're like, I'm going to get into it. When you first got into it with solar, how did that experience go for you? Like, was it hard? Was it challenging? Were you at any point thinking that, I don't know if this is for me? Because you always talk about yourself being more of an introvert. You know what I mean?
Oh, yeah. So yeah. I mean, it was really... the work itself was whatever, because I grew up always having to work a lot. My parents had us do a lot of yard work. I ran a small landscaping company in high school, mowing lawns. I attribute a lot of my work ethic to having to kind of provide and come up with the money to serve an LDS mission. And I mean, there was times where I was in high school and I would do 2-day football practice, right? Where you got 4 hours, 2 hours in between and another 4 hours, and then come off the tail end of that and go mow 3 lawns before getting home at 10 o'clock. So the work ethic was there. And
Hold on. Do you think that work ethic, because I know you have an absolutely insane work ethic, do you think that was, how was that bred into you? Was it your parents? Was it just who you are? Do you feel like that work ethic was, you know, yeah, were you born with it? Like,
no, I don't think I was born with it. I think I was a product of the environment I was put in. So, you know, we didn't get rides to school. You know, we walked to school, and we walked home from school every single day as a kid. Yeah. Now in junior high was a bit further, so we would do some carpools as we got older. Yeah. But especially even in elementary, we walked to and from school. So I think just those small things, and then playing sports and being competitive and wanting to excel, kind of compound into a snowball effect for your work ethic. But yeah, so the work ethic was there, and then when I got into solar, that part was easy. Just going out, knocking doors, talking to people and setting up appointments. Talking to people was the hard part for me. Even though I'd come from being a waiter, even then it was like, hey, I had to step outside my
comfort zone. Yeah.
It was funny. It was like once I put that waiter uniform on, I was a different person. And it was the same thing in solar. It was like once I put that hat on, now I'm a sales guy. I'm not the introvert, normal, version of myself.
Really? So it was almost like you kind of changed you were able to step outside and change your personality. Like you could become that person.
Yeah. And I think it was through tricking your mind. I tell some of my sales guys today, when I would knock on someone's door, I'd get those initial butterflies. And one thing I used to do is I had my iPad and I would write the letters IAB over and over and over until somebody came to the door. And those letters stood for I am a badass.
No kidding.
Just kind of that self-affirmation that like, hey, I can do this. It's just a stranger. You're going to be fine. And then that's just compounded. And then I did solar for my first year was just a summer setting up appointments. And then I got into closing, and that was where I bit off a lot more than I could chew. And that was really tough because I'd look around the room and all the other closers were in their late 20s, early 30s. We even had some 40-year-olds, and they all had a family, and they had been doing door-to-door or some type of sales position for the last
for a while,
5 or 6 years.
So they were a lot more older and more experienced.
Way more seasoned. Here I am, I'm 21, and I've bitten off more than I could chew. I got my boss to give me a shot on not setting the appointments, but now actually trying to go run those appointments. And I worked, I think it was 4 weeks, 60 hours a week, and I didn't close a single deal for the first 4 weeks. And then I finally got my first deal, and that was the start of it all. So.
Yeah. Wow. So, okay, as far as you were setting and you went to your boss and wanted to become a closer, like how was that conversation? Because I'm sure he's looking at you as a 21-year-old kid or 20-year-old kid and thinking, I'm not sure if I want to, like, how did that conversation go?
Yeah, I mean, I was persistent because I realized, the earning potential was even higher. I felt like I had hit my ceiling in setting appointments. I mean, in comparison, I was setting 8 to 10 appointments a day. The average guys on the team were setting 1 or 2. So I felt like I was carrying my weight, but I had not ever closed an appointment. I had not been in that role of sitting down at the dinner table with a husband and a wife and trying to actually get them to buy, this big solar system. So I'm glad he took a shot on me. I think he was apprehensive because, we didn't have the door-to-door was a new thing in the company. We didn't have a lot of appointments coming from that avenue. And then to take me from that, who was
just a random
setting a lot of appointments, it's now, okay, what's your conversion rate? Right. And so at the solar company, it was less about, I even think this sometimes in pest control or fiber, that it's not about how many reps do you have, but it's about how much volume per rep can you generate. right? And so he probably had that apprehension of like, well, yes, it'd be nice to have another closer, but if we're giving this 21-year-old lead after lead after lead, and he's going to these appointments and he's not converting them when we could have given them
to somebody else,
to somebody more seasoned, now we've wasted a lot of money.
Yeah.
You know, because a lot of those leads were internet leads and stuff.
So how do you think he felt like because he let you do it for 4 weeks? 4 weeks without closing any deals. Like, what was going through your mind in that process? What kept you going and pushing? And how do you think he felt about all that? Like, was there a lot of pressure there? Because I would imagine, you know, having an owner try to, you know, give you this position in 4 weeks, you don't close a deal. Like, I would be scared. I'd be like fearful. I'd be like, oh, I'm letting somebody down. Like, what did that feel like?
Yeah. So there's a really good movie. Have you ever seen The Edge?
No.
Okay, it's an older movie. It's about this group of people that go up to Alaska. They're at a cabin, and they start to get hunted by a grizzly bear.
Oh, no.
And the grizzly bear, it's towards the end of the movie, the grizzly bears killed off 5 or 6 of the group, 5 or 6 of the people in the group. And now it's down to the last 2. And there's this old man, and he's sharpening a spear.
Yeah.
And they're going to try to bait the grizzly in and take the grizzly out. And as he's standing there sharpening the spear, one of the younger guys is distraught. He's given up all hope. He has no confidence.
Yeah.
And the guy sharpening the spear throws him the knife and says, "What one man can do, another can do." And he gets him to repeat that. And so that actually was in my mind during those 4 weeks, was what one man can do, another can do. Meaning, has anybody ever killed a grizzly bear before? Yes. Indians, you know, I'm sure cavemen or whoever, right? There's definitely been a time where somebody has killed a grizzly bear. So that was just the idea is like I looked around the room, and if these guys that I'm in this room with that are more seasoned are selling 3 or 4 deals a week, they're made of the same atoms, electrons.
Yeah, everything.
Like there's nothing different between our composition other than they figured something out I haven't yet. So just that determination. But
so for a person getting into sales, what I'm curious about to know from your perspective is, okay, you made that realization. You saw that, hey, if these guys can do it, I can do it. Was there any realizations you made or that helped you get to that point where you could close deals? Like, how did you go about learning sales at that point?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing I did is I sat right next to the top closer in the company. And when he was on the phone, I would pay attention to what he was saying, what he was doing. And then I was willing to be a sponge. I mean, it didn't add any benefit to him, but I said, hey, like, can I just come shadow you and just run appointment after appointment after appointment with you? And we went to one appointment, and I took my phone out. I put on the recorder, and I sat my phone on the table.
Yeah.
It recorded the entire conversation. He ended up making the sale, and then I went home that evening, and I transcribed and wrote out the entire conversation, simplified it to understand, like, what's the flow? What is he trying to do? Like, he starts here, then he transitions to here, and then he has different stages of the sales cycle. And that helped, memorizing that, practicing that, and just kind of getting creative as well. And then our manager paid that summer for all of the sales reps to get Cardone University. So we went through an entire an entire university. Some of it I hated, some of it I liked, but it taught me how to close. Like, I'd memorize these scripts, and we'd have like in the morning, our manager would get all the closers in the same room, and we'd do like 1v1, like who has the best closing tactics.
Yeah.
And I think I just put in a lot of time and effort in memorizing each one of those, right? Like, hey, if the husband says I need to talk to my wife, boom, being like just dialed in to say exactly what you need to say. So I still use a lot of those in pest control, but
That's interesting. It almost seems like a lot of the top guys like yourself, like they simplify it, right? Even when it comes to seeing other guys do it, it's like, okay, logically I can do it. And then with closing, it's almost like, I think so often young reps feel like there's so many different objections. You know what I mean? When the reality of it is there's only so many objections. And if you learn what to say and just copy paste what everybody else has done in the past, you can kind of just replicate that.
100%.
Which is pretty interesting to me. So I've heard you talk about on other podcasts the difference between selling and closing and how they're two different skill sets. Help me understand what the key differences are of each.
Yeah. I would say selling, simply put, selling is building belief, and closing is removing friction.
Okay.
So if I wanted to sell you on whatever, I need to first discover what your needs are and your wants.
Okay.
Where's there pain? Is there any pain? Is there a problem that I could solve? What are your desires? What are your goals, etc.? And then I need to match that up with the benefits of whatever product or service that I offer, and help you make that connection.
Okay.
That's selling. Closing is getting you to make a decision. It's removing that friction of either pre-overcoming. Pre-overcoming, in my opinion, is part of closing. But then when we get to the end of the sale, helping you cross the finish line and make a decision. And sometimes that can be a no, right? I love the idea that Grant Cardone talks about this a lot, that you have to close them on making a decision, even if it's a yes or no. Otherwise, you've just left them in a limbo stage, and you guys have just wasted each other's time. You haven't added any value, because I can give you all the information, but if you're still in limbo and you don't even make up your mind, either way, we haven't done any. There's no
work done at all. Yeah, and that's why it's like there's that saying in sales where it's I love yes, I like no, but I hate maybe.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, that's super interesting. So let's go into pest control. How do you feel like solar helped you crush it in pest control? Because you went on as a rookie and did 1,200 accounts. And for those people who don't understand what that means, the average pest control rep sells literally 100 accounts in a summer, maybe 120. Yeah. So to do 1,200, 12 times that is just absolutely insane. Help me understand if solar, do you feel like helped in pest control?
Yeah, I think it definitely did. Because if I can sell somebody on taking out a 25-year loan, oftentimes leaned up against their house, to put something that's controversial and maybe even ugly on their rooftop, right? Then selling them a 1-year contract on getting their house serviced for pests,
is nothing.
Bugs and rodents, is a lot easier of a walk in the park. So I mean, there's a lot of guys that are good at selling solar. They're good at selling pest control. I worked with a lot of them, but where they struggled is they did struggle on closing. And you can't close somebody on solar by saying, just give me a shot.
Yeah.
It doesn't work.
It's not going to work like that.
Right?
Yeah.
Just give me a shot. In pest control, you can. So solar definitely helped me get really good at not just selling, but especially closing and the art of closing, overcoming objections, right? Because when you go through the sales process in solar, you're dealing with much bigger objections. You're dealing with much bigger stalls. There's oftentimes even follow-up that is required. Whereas pest control, if you can take that refined skill, it just becomes a cake. It cuts through like butter. Yeah. So.
Jeez. Yeah. So, I want to dive a little bit deeper into closing. What is your framework behind overcoming objections? Like, what are you thinking about? And obviously you had the experience in solar, but for the pest control reps out there that maybe need more help on closing, what is your framework behind overcoming objections? Not just, hey, give me a shot. What does it look like? Like, walk us through that.
Yeah, so the analogy I give is during the sales process, you want to get the prospect's feet to be as close to the edge Because if they're not close to the edge, then no matter how good you are at closing, you're not going to be able to push them over because they're too far back, right? So selling is very important. But once you've got them close to the edge, you're usually dealing with objections and stalls. And I think people put those in the same box when they shouldn't.
Yeah.
So an objection is it's too expensive, or I don't know, I've got kids, I've got pets, I don't know, like I've never been a fan of pesticides. Yeah. That's an objection you got to overcome by building value and resolving and building confidence and belief, you know, that you have a solution for that objection. Maybe you price drop, or you give them a little bit more information about the product safety or something like that. A stall is, I need to think about it. It's not an objection, right? Or I need to talk to my wife. That's still not an objection. Now, it could be, right? The think about it is always a stall, but I need to talk to my spouse is 50-50. I think a lot of people get the I need to talk to my spouse more than they should have because they failed to qualify early in the sales pitch. Yeah. If you qualify early, you're just not going to go through the whole presentation with the wrong people. Like I have a saying, never give price to the non-decision maker, right? Yeah. It's probably not my saying. Probably somebody else has said it. But everything in the space is shared, so right? Yeah. So when I look at like an example of that is somebody gives me an objection or a stall, I use a hypothetical to isolate and identify whether or not it's real. So you give me an objection, I need to talk to my wife. Perfect, totally understand. I mean, if she was here and she was totally cool with it, she listened to the whole conversation, would there be anything else holding you back from giving me a shot in pest control? No, I mean, she's good with it. Then yeah, we do it. Okay, perfect. Now it's real. I need to get in front of her. Okay, awesome. Is she here? No, she's not. Could we call her? Could we text her? When's she going to be back? Right? Versus, oh, shoot, he needs to talk to his wife. Let me just not figure out whether or not that's real or not. So isolate and identify, you know, hey, I don't know, price seems a bit expensive. Okay. I mean, if you met with other companies, you got other prices online or from other outfits, and you came to the realization that it's actually a pretty competitive price. Other than price, is there anything else that's holding you back from giving us a shot? Well, whatever they say there is obviously way more real and way more deeper of a concern. Price could still be a topic, but if I can fix this second one, this almost goes away. Yeah, I see what you're saying. So just to clarify, objections are kind of real roadblocks that you can solve. And stalls are almost like an uncertainty where I don't want to make a decision yet. So what you're trying to do with an objection is isolate and solve it. And what you're trying to do with a stall is get the real objection. Is that correct? Or correct. Yep. Because if they say they need to think about it, let's talk about that one for a second. If they say they need to think about it, that doesn't mean that they're not interested. Yeah. It depends on how they say it, right? I'm cueing in on, you know, how are they? Because it might be a smokescreen. Yeah. Like maybe they're interested. You've sold them on your product. You've sold them on your service and your price and your proposition, but they just met you. Yeah. They've never heard of your company, and you just showed up out of the blue and knocked on their door, and they've only talked to you now for 3 or 4 minutes. Right? So, like, I have a really one of my favorite closes is to close on objections, right? So they say, I need to think about it. Yeah, no, for sure. Nobody just signs up like right away without asking me at least a few questions. You haven't asked any of those. Do you mind if I share them with you? And you give them the objections. Yeah. Right? So they say, well, I don't know. Let me think about it. I don't make quick decisions. You match that energy. No, of course. Nobody just signs up without asking me a few questions. Do you mind if I just share some of those with you that most customers will ask me? Well, sure. I mean, a lot of customers before signing up, they'll ask me, now, is there a contract with this? I had not heard of your company before. How long you guys been in business? What are your reviews? Is it pet friendly, kid friendly for my animals and my kids? And as you list those off,
concerns of the friction.
Something that they haven't had the time to process and really think of is going to come out, and they're going to be like, yeah, is there a contract, or how do you guys handle payment? You gave them an objection, but you also have the solution to that objection. Yeah, you don't get charged till after we do the service. I just get a card to add you on the schedule, and you're going to get an email copy of everything. And then I always go back to silence and let them just sit on that for a moment, versus if you try to
option close them right there.
Option close, hard close, then most people are smart. They feel the pressure. They're like, wait a second, I want to make sure I don't have any other thoughts or questions before just signing up with you.
So another thing, that's all solid stuff, and I love hearing that. Another thing that interested me as far as objections go and sales, what was I? Anyway, fully lost my train of thought there.
No worries.
So, solar, you get into pest control. Year one in pest control, what is that like for you? And what was it that made you decide to go do 1,200 accounts?
Yeah, so my original goal was actually 600 that year.
Okay.
I didn't know what to expect because I never sold pest. I had sold solar, and I had kind of climbed to the top of that mountain selling solar in the state of Utah. So I figured, doing the math, if I could do 600 accounts, then I would kind of break even on what I would have made doing
in
solar, right?
Yeah.
So that was the goal, is, hey, let's go try something new. If there's more upside to this, great, but like I don't want to come home feeling like I made less than I could have if I had just stayed and done solar.
Okay.
So I did 600, or that was the goal. I go out my first week. I sell 37 accounts that first week.
That blows my mind.
I'm selling with a buddy of mine who he sold, 42, 43.
Yeah.
And his goal, he'd been with the company for 6 years. He had wanted to be part of the 1,000 Club. And he had already announced that months prior to the whole company that he was going to go for 1,000 accounts. I'm the type that's a little bit more, I guess, quiet about my goals because I don't want unnecessary pressure, but some people want that pressure. And after selling 37 that first week, everybody that was in ownership or leadership in the company
came and told you, hey, you
started
go out and
calling me like, hey, you need to go do 1,000. So
back up real quick. So you said you don't like that pressure. You don't like announcing your goals.
Correct.
I've heard, you hear Conor McGregor, and it's like speak it into existence, have people hold you accountable, and you feel that it's better to just, for yourself personally, to not speak out your goals. Is that correct?
Correct, yeah.
Because I feel that too. I mean, sometimes I also feel like when I don't tell people my goals, I don't have that external pressure, and that pressure pushes you. So it sounds like you must have an internal kind of drive that allows you to go push yourself regardless, because there's something to be said for people holding you accountable.
100%. So I guess let me clarify that. I don't announce it and shout it from the rooftop, right? So I'm not going to go on social media and say, hey, I'm going for 2,000 accounts and $2 million in revenue.
Yeah.
That was my internal goal. Maybe 2 or 3 people total knew that was my goal. They were trusted. They were part of my circle. They held me accountable. I could lean on them, and they weren't going to go tell other people.
Yeah.
They just wanted to support me along the journey. So,
wow. Okay. So everybody in the company was calling you, told you to change your goals. You sold 37 that first week. What's going on in your mind at that point?
Yeah, I mean, they're just telling me, hey, Jerem, that's his name. I was living with him. Jerem's going for 1,000. You, in your first week, you sold 37. Why not go do 1,000 right there with him? I mean, you guys are going to live together, knock together, be out together for the whole summer together. Why not change your goal? And a lot of them didn't know what my goal was, right?
Yeah.
They called me asking, what's your goal, dude? Like, are you going for 1,000 as well? And I was like, well, no, I wasn't planning on it. But then I reevaluated. I changed my goal. I actually changed my goal like 3 times that summer. So I changed it to 1,000. And then as we went out and we just started cranking, we had a leadership summit in Hawaii planned for, it was like the 15th of August. And I said, dude, I don't want to go to Hawaii and then have to come back to get 1,000.
Yeah. Kills all your momentum.
Let's get 1,000 accounts before Hawaii. So then I changed my goal. I looked at the numbers. I said, well, if I'm going to do that, I need to start selling 8 or 9 a day versus 7.
Yeah.
Right. So I upped it. And as it got closer, then I was like, I just have this weird OCD perfectionist mentality where I was like, dude, if I lock in, I can get it done before end of July. Let's just get it done before end of July. And then whatever I sell in August is gravy. So I locked in, I got it July 27th.
Stop it, dude. So when did you start knocking?
We did a 4-week blitz in February.
Okay.
And then I went out in April.
May, June. So you were selling what a day to do that?
So I got 1,000 by July 27th. I didn't get 1,200 by July 27th.
You got 1,000.
I got to 1,000 by July 27th. And then I think I was at 1,100 by the time the Hawaii trip came up. I went home. I was done for the summer with like 1,100 and some odd accounts. And then Jerem.
But why go back? Like you hit your goal at 1,000. Why go back for 1,200? Like what? That's what I'm trying to comprehend about you is like, once I hit my goal, if I set my goal for 1,000, like I'd be good. Like, were you not happy with that?
Yeah. So, I mean, I got to 1,000 by July 27th, and then I got to 1,100 by Hawaii, went to Hawaii, came back, thought I was done for the year. Jerem hadn't yet got to his 1,000.
Oh,
So he decided to do a postseason blitz in Texas in the middle of November. And when I found out about that, the competitive side was like, well, dude, if he can still knock, I can still knock. Like, it had nothing to do about accounts. It was like, if he has more gas, I have just as much gas. So we went out together. I sold another 100 accounts or so in the middle of February. Or in the middle of November. It was freezing cold, but yeah.
Jeez Louise. So what I'm curious about to know, and I think because I hear a lot of amateur or first year, second year reps say, I'm going to go out and set 600, and they make this massive goal. Like, I think a lot of reps would get a lot of value from understanding how you set goals and what your philosophy is behind those goals.
Yeah, I think goals can be fluid. I think sometimes guys will set a goal and make it immovable. And that can be helpful if it's a goal that is beyond their capability, right? So better to shoot for the stars and land on the moon, right? Yeah. But I think sometimes guys sell themselves short and they set a goal and they hit their goal and don't ask themselves, could I have done more? So it's almost this sickening, obsessive, psychopathic behavior of mine where I'm like,
yeah, it is sickening.
I hit my goal and I'm still not satisfied because I'm like, but I could have done more. Right? An example of that, Tim Ferriss, he writes a book. It's one of my favorite books. It's called 4-Hour Work Week. He talks about planned procrastination. That when you're in school and somebody gives you a science fair project, right? In elementary school, you're 5th grade. They give it to you at the start of the school year, and you got till December to get it done. What happens? Those people take, a couple hours every weekend working on it all the way up until December. And so when you total up the total amount of time that person put towards coming up with their science fair project, and you compare it to the kid who did what's called planned procrastination. He waited until the week before it was due, and then he locks in. He spends less time and arguably puts out and produces the same, if not a better, science fair project. Because he didn't just procrastinate. He didn't think, I've got plenty of time to get this. I've got plenty of time. So I like mini goals as well, where it's like, hey, break down. If you've got a big goal, break it down to a science. What do you need to do per week? And then don't focus too much on the big goal. Focus on your weekly number. And then do a check-in every month and say, okay, am I behind schedule or am I ahead of schedule? If you're ahead of schedule, then you didn't think big enough. And it's okay to then say, do I push the field goal post out a little bit? Do I not go for 600, but do I go for 700? Because getting 600 would be taking my foot off the gas before the end of the year.
Yeah. Jeez, dude. Help me understand, Marshall, what motivates you at the deepest level. Like, for me personally, and I'm a firm believer that we are all motivated by some sort of deep emotion. Like for me, it's always been fear of failure, fear of being a loser. You know what I mean? For you, what is it that really drives you? And I know it's not money. What is it?
Yeah, I mean, I would say, especially during my selling career, now maybe is a little different, but just competitiveness, to be the best version of myself. I used to compete with other guys and think like, oh, I need to, check the leaderboard, who's at what, and make sure I finish the week at the highest I can and make sure I get number one. But there was a paradigm shift in my sales career where I stopped focusing on competing with other people and almost like Mario Kart, just focused on chasing my ghost and saying, hey, what's the if there was a perfect dialed in, 100% disciplined, 100% work ethic, the perfect my player version of myself, what would he be doing and where would he be? And let me try to get as close to that as possible. And that's why I went for 2 million and 2,000 accounts, as I thought
It was possible.
100%.
Yeah.
I had full conviction that I could do it. Now, when you start doing something like that, you can't control everything, or you learn. You get thrown curveballs. I sold for a couple different operators that, if I could go back, I probably wouldn't have. Nothing against them, nothing personal, but it was challenging and not conducive to pushing high revenue. There's a lot of learning lessons that year, but I'm glad I set the goal at 2 million and 2,000 versus something that was lesser than that I knew
That you could do.
I could do. Like doing, that's why I'm like still bittersweet about doing over 1.5 million, is I'm like, that didn't come as a surprise to me. I knew I could do that. I'm proud of who I was and the work I put out, but the outcome itself was bittersweet.
As possible.
Bittersweet, yeah. So
Really, because you're truly competing with yourself. How does somebody make that shift from, because like still for me, for example, I'm competing with everybody else around me. And it's really hard for me to get out of my mind and say, I want to just compete with myself, because I think a lot of reps get complacent. Like, how did you make that transition to say, I'm going to compete with myself? Like, where does that come from? I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you compete with other people, you're doing yourself a disservice. Because sure, if you're a fish in a pool full of sharks, competing with other people is going to push you to do even better, right? So I do think there's value in competing with other people if you're in the right room.
Yeah, with
right?
people above your
people
level.
that are above you. But then at the same time, you can be overly self-critical. You can start to judge yourself, beat yourself up, etc. And if there's no one down the ladder for you, then you feel
Like a loser.
less of value.
Yeah.
Right. And
Yeah.
people, and this is a great lesson I learned, is like you have to disconnect your self-worth from what you do on the battlefield. How many accounts you sell has nothing to do with who you are. Right. They've interviewed Stephen Curry after he won a NBA Finals. And I can't remember the question exactly, but he corrected the interviewer. And he says, I'm a father and I'm a husband.
Yeah.
What I did here today, that's just fun.
Yeah.
Right? He's a competitor. He wants to be the best, but that's not who he is.
Yeah.
He is not the best basketball player. He is a father and a husband and a man who stands for certain values. Right? And so I think if you can embrace that same mentality, we had a sales rep, quick story, we had a sales rep who this last year we had, I don't know, our per rep average was $286,000 in revenue.
It's ridiculous. Yeah.
And he's a first-year sales rep on that team, right? It was probably 60, 70% experienced guys. And then we had probably 5 or 6 first-year reps. And 3 or 4 weeks into the year, 3 to 4 weeks into the summer, he's ready to quit because he's selling 18, 19
Yeah.
a week.
Everybody
thinking
else
he
is selling
sucks.
40, 50. Yeah,
Yeah,
when
he's
that's
like, dude,
great
18, 19 a week,
as a
man.
cashier.
I suck. And it's like, no, you
Stop.
need to go look down the ladder as well and realize where you stand on the ladder. And so when we showed him, like, yeah, that's our team, but let's look at the whole company. Let's look
Yeah.
at the industry. You are, miles ahead of most first-year sales reps.
Yeah, no, that's 100%. Just goes to show how important proximity is and how we compare ourselves to the people around us. You know what I mean? So for reps that are at 300 accounts a year, 200, 300 accounts a year, what would you say are the three most important things to become elite?
Yeah. I mean, the first thing is just there's three measuring sticks that I like to think of. Those three measuring sticks are: where's my work ethic, where's my attitude and mentality, and where's my skill. The first one, a lot of reps struggle with, but if you I don't think you can teach work ethic. I think you either have it or you don't. Now, you can kind of turn it on at certain times if you have a deep enough why or purpose. But that's the first one. That's
First piece of the
check
puzzle
the
that has
box.
to be. Yeah,
just
check
check
that
the
box.
box. You don't need to improve in work ethic. You can just put it forth and be done with it. The mentality and attitude, you have to check yourself every day. You win the day in the morning, right? Expecting to have success, expecting to have a great day, but also being patient that you don't control how many sales you make. You can't get into their head and make them make a buying decision. You can only do certain things. Timing is a huge factor. And then, the third is your skill. Where are you? Do you feel like you have a lot to improve on? And if you do, then start to make those improvements. Try different things. I think I had a lot of success in door-to-door because I wasn't scared to try something and see if it worked or not. And if it worked, then I would continue to do it. If it didn't work, then I wouldn't do it. But I would hear stuff, I would see stuff that other guys were doing, even first-year sales reps, and I'm in year 7. And I'm like, that's a really good line. I don't know how you came up with that. If you came up with it or if you took it from someone else, but I've not heard it, I'm going to use it. And there is no cheating. There is no penalty for copying other people's
stealing what
work.
works. Yeah.
So
That makes perfect sense. So for rookies, as far as advice you'd have for rookies on the pitch and the initial, what would you say are the most important things to nail a badass initial pitch on the doors for pest control?
Yeah, if you're a rookie, you should not be focused on how many sales you make on a daily basis. You should be focused on how many people are you getting to go through price with. And when I say that, I mean they're asking you a question about your service or they're asking you what the price is. So you've hooked them in one way or another in your intro to get them engaged. You've got them to ask you a question, and then that question leads to you closing the gap physically, putting something in their hands, and then going through price. So as a rookie, I wouldn't even focus on overcoming objections, closing, any of that. Where I have rookies struggle is, or what I see happen with rookies far more often, is they think they struggle at closing. And I ask them, well, how many people a day are you getting to go through price with? 5. Okay, even me, at the top of my game, I'm closing maybe 50, 60% of people I get through price with. So if I took your intro with my closing ability, I'd only sell 2.5 deals that day. You need to get 20 or 15 or 30 people
Through price.
asking you price.
Okay. So when it comes to, and I'm asking this question for myself.
Yeah.
When it comes to training rookies, how do you go about training rookies to make sure that they succeed? I mean, I know a lot of the times if I talk too deep into the psychology of sales, it doesn't help. And one of the things that I've learned personally is you really just want to get them to memorize the pitch, like verbatim, and then kind of as they get better, go into the deeper stuff. Like, what's your philosophy on it? training rookies?
Yeah, I mean, if you study communication, I think that the studies show that only 15% of communication is the actual words you say. Meaning the vast majority is body language, speed, tone, and nonverbal cues, eye contact, things like that. So I think you're absolutely spot on that you need to have them study the pitch and memorize a script, but also just practice having calm and composed conversations. You can tell 100%. I'm doing it right now with you. Just confident and composed, a calm speed,
super chill
volume, you're chill, etc. And then if you can apply that type of technique, it almost doesn't matter quite so much what you say. You're going to get people drawn in and attention, interest peaked. So,
okay, so you focus on nonverbals, tone, and then obviously the script. They have to have that checked box, but that's kind of where you put most of your energy, and that makes total sense.
I'll tell a rookie to slow down.
Yeah.
I'll have them do their pitch. I'll say, okay, perfect. Slow down. Let's do it again. They'll do it again. Okay, perfect. Slow down even more. Almost over-exaggerate it.
Yeah.
Get them to give their entire pitch slow motion with confidence so they can actually think through what they're trying to say, what they're trying to do, and then you find that sweet spot and you bring it back into the middle. So.
Okay. So as far as the sales process goes in pest control, you give them their initial pitch. I've heard you like to do price first. You like to get to the point. How do you build real value in pest control? As far as in solar, you have to learn how to sell it. You have to build a value proposition. How do you do that in pest control?
So I believe in less about building value and helping them find value, right? So not everybody's a qualified buyer.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's timing. They've got other things on their mind. They're not interested. And if you knock the door a week later, you might sell them. But today, it doesn't matter how good your sales pitch is. So I do like to get to price first, meaning get them hooked on, well, how much is it?
Yeah.
Because everybody cares about how much it is. Now, they could be a window shopper, right, who they're asking you the price because you told them that you're taking care of Gene across the street.
Yeah.
But if you can get them hooked in on price, then sometimes, depending on the body language that they're giving me, if they display that they have a little bit of time, maybe they stepped out their door and they closed the door behind them, then I'll take a little bit of pressure off the sell and I'll do a quick inspection. Now, when I do an inspection, I'm not really looking for anything in particular. I'm responding to text messages and, maybe looking for a few things, but I'm walking around their house. It takes about 30 seconds, and I'm helping them mentally prepare for the sell. I'm giving them that little bit of time where as I'm walking around their house, there's no value I'm doing in doing the inspection, but I'm giving them an opportunity without the sales guy on the doorstep to think for a moment, wait a second, this guy...
So you give them the price?
No. I hook them on price, right?
What does that mean, hook them on price?
So, hey, real quick, stopping by. We're going to be doing 15, 16 homes here, just spraying for the ants, spiders, wasps, and carpenter bees. If we could get you guys done, I'm just doing the homes together for the same price. How much? Well, how much is it? Yeah, give me 30 seconds. I'll run around the outside, just do a quick inspection, come up with a price for you. My name was Marshall.
Okay.
Boom. Right, shake their hand. I walk around the house. Now they have a chance to prepare for the sell. Well, do we really need pest control? Actually, wasn't my wife just mentioning something? Right, you're taking that. You're giving a little bit of pressure off the sell.
Yeah.
Now, sometimes if they don't give me the body language that's conducive to going and doing an inspection, they want to get to the point quick.
Yeah.
Then I don't do an inspection. Okay. It's about 50-50. And if they don't ask, and then when I come back from the inspection, it's, hey, awesome backyard. You guys spend a lot of time out there? Cool. Yeah, like I said, pest control, you guys have had a service before? Oh, no? Okay. Super simple. All different things come out at different times. So you can see here, this is everything we take care of. I'm just giving them a moment. I don't need to build value in, hey, we spray this, we do this, we do that, we do this.
Yeah.
Just let them see, is there anything on your page
think about it
that bugs them or has been an issue for them? Now, if you can get a bug confession, that's great. I believe in maybe trying to get a bug confession, right? Anything on here that stands out to you? No, not really. People don't like to show their cards, especially because they know you're a sales guy.
Yeah.
So you don't have to force their hand on that, and then build value in price, right? People buy stuff all the time that they don't need, they don't want,
Because they feel like it's a good deal,
but all their buddies are buying it because it's on sale.
Yeah.
And it's the same philosophy in pest. If they know, bandwagon's one of those ones that like, sometimes you don't have any bandwagon effect, right?
Yeah.
Because I don't bandwagon 6 homes down the street. I bandwagon next door, right or left, or across the street. Because then they actually know the name. But there's times where you're in a neighborhood, it's a new development or whatever the case is, and you've signed up 5 or 6 people, that my intro is completely different.
Yeah.
Hey, stopping by, you can see here doing John's house, all the stars on the map, and you're just bandwagoning super hard. But
So you're not the whole, because I know, and I always see this, and it always blows my mind that so many reps will go into a neighborhood and they'll make up like 15 different names. You know what I mean? It always blows my mind. It's like if that customer doesn't know who those people are, it's not going to make any difference at all.
it will hurt you.
Yeah.
It'll hurt your odds because they'll lose trust in you. If you say, hey, I'm taking care of John down the street, and you knock on my door and I don't know a single John down my street, I automatically am going to put you in a position of distrust.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, bullshit, I don't know a John. And I could be wrong. Maybe there is a John, but he's way down the street, or I only know his wife's name. So I only use like right next to him, right, where the probability is super high. Now, later in the sale, if they ask me a question about
Who are you guys taking care of?
like, I have not heard of you guys. Oh, really? Okay, well, do you know Jill? I'm using a lot of J's. Do you know Jill? Mm-hmm. Oh, okay, yeah, she's a customer of ours. We're going to be doing her house tomorrow. Okay, cool. Zoom out, all the black stars are homes we've already done. Green stars are homes we're going to be doing. I know guys that will show their pins because homeowners don't know what the pins mean. Yeah, so these are all people that, we're talking to, getting the service set up for. Oh, whoa, that's a lot of pins.
Yeah.
So
That's one way to do it. Okay. So I'm getting like the best sales training ever right now. As far as how can you tell if somebody's the decision maker? And another question I have for you is selling wives. Like, I know a lot of people struggle with, because in the early morning and their husband's at work, wives are going to be home. How often how do you go about qualifying them, seeing if they're qualified, and how often are you selling wives alone without their husband?
Yeah, very seldom. I would say I'm selling a wife without their husband home, unless she's texting him or get him on the phone and closing the deal. I think there's 3 types of households. There's the household where the wife is the more in charge, and the husband's less. There's the opposite. The husband's more in charge, the wife's less. And then there's ones where it's kind of 50-50.
Yeah, it's almost like a team.
Right?
Yeah.
They run everything past each other. They don't make a decision without the other person involved. And the person who's more in charge is always going to be more assertive. Person who's not is always going to be more passive. So if a wife opens the door to me and I start to pitch her and she's like, oh, okay, yeah. Well, how much is it? And it just seems too good to be true. It's telling me she's pretty passive. She didn't really show any like resistance or, disinterest.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give her a price. I'll ask her, be like, oh yeah, for sure. When she asks me, well, how much is it? Yeah. And then this is something that you usually would take care of for the house, right? No, usually my husband would probably do this. Okay. Is he around? Save myself the entire presentation, come back, or grab him who's in the backyard or whatever. So
that's a good question. So this is something that you usually take care of for the house, and usually they'll go no, and then you can kind of, because it's a hard. You have to do it tactfully when you ask who the decision maker is. You don't want to just be like, oh, is your husband the one who's going to call the shot on this?
Yeah, don't use the word decision maker in qualifying.
I
never use that. I just say, awesome, and then before going through price, is this something that you would usually take care of for the house, or say they have a company.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome. Yeah, a lot of the homes we're using XYZ company. A lot of people just been asking me how we compare price-wise, service-wise. Who do you guys have coming out right now? If they don't know, they're probably not in charge.
Yeah.
If they do know, I think it's Terminex.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and then is that something that you usually set up and take care of? No, my husband does. Okay, perfect. I'm not even going to try to switch him over.
Yeah.
I need to just talk to them.
Decision maker. So it's a high volume industry, right? You want to be qualifying. And if you're not talking to the decision maker, it's just like, get out. How do you go about setting go backs to those people so you don't blow doors in the morning and come back and talk to the decision maker?
Yeah, I mean, if they're not qualified decision maker, and I haven't gone through price, it's not even really a go back. It's more of a not home.
Yeah.
I don't drop a not homes if somebody just doesn't answer the door, but I'll drop a not home on something like that.
Okay.
Where I'll say wife not decision maker, come back after 5. But it's not a callback because we haven't went through price.
Okay.
But if it's one of those 50-50, like, well, yeah, usually I take care of this stuff too. Okay, perfect. Yeah, let me give you a price. I go through it and they give me a stall. Or it's a husband, right? And he seems assertive. But he also doesn't want to sleep on the couch. And so I don't know that. We go through the whole presentation. I go through price. I'm not able to close him. One of my favorite lines when they say, well, let me talk to my wife or let me talk to my husband is say, yeah, I mean, if they weren't part of the equation, would you do it?
Yeah.
Yeah, I would do it. Sounds like a good deal.
Then it's worth coming back
Perfect.
to talk.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But if they're just blowing you off, like, I don't know, we probably don't need it. That's a very
if
low.
that person's not
that's
sold,
a low. Yeah, if they're not sold,
get...
how are they? I need their help to sell the other person. So
yeah, I see what you're saying there. Okay. Well, I want to zoom out for a second and start to talk about, recruiting and management. Obviously, one of the things that blows my mind about you is you went from 1,200 accounts first year and then went straight into ownership. And obviously ownership has a bunch of hats. One of the biggest hats to scaling branches is recruiting guys and managing them. For those reps that are starting to build, what is a few pieces of advice or tips you would give as far as your first recruits and building?
Yeah, I think be picky, have standards in recruiting. Be upfront about this job. Don't try to sell them on that it's all sunshine and rainbows. Show them how amazing the opportunity is, but also be very upfront that this job is tough. That one thing we've started to do is almost flip the script in a way. What I see a lot of times is recruiters will, tell the prospective recruit why they should sell for their company. Oh, well, you should sell for us because of this. They'll take them out to lunch or they'll give them a free hat or they'll kind of wine and dine them. And they'll sit there and try to sell the recruit on working for them.
Yeah.
All that's doing is giving them false entitlement.
Yeah.
Who is the recruit? What have they done? Have they done anything to deserve all the praise, all of the selling from your end to them on working for you? They don't have an amazing track record. No, there's no reason for that. So I like to be a bit more exclusive. Say, hey, so here's how this works. We usually do pools of interviews, for every 5 to 10 people I meet with, based off the first interview and how today goes. I'll extend an invite for a second interview.
Yeah.
Second interview, we'll go over pay, we'll go over terms, all of that. Tell me why I should consider you for this job over the other 9 or 10 candidates I have right now. Make them sell you, right? Because we could give this job. We could hire a bunch of people that aren't qualified for it.
Yeah.
So if they start selling you, well, yeah, you should hire me because I'm a really hard worker and I did sports and I do this, I do that. Then you're not giving them this false entitlement where now they've got this big head. We've all seen the recruits who have this big ego, think they're worth $1 million, but their best summer is $100K.
Yeah.
Right? People call them pirates.
Blows my mind. Yeah.
Looters. They go from one company to another. Well, why do they do that? Because it was tolerated. because recruiters were willing to buy into
The BS.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. It's like, yeah, you've got options, but so do we. And, that's not who we're looking for. And if all recruiters in the space were willing to raise their standards in recruiting and not tolerate that type of behavior, I think recruiting would become fun again. But I think for a lot of recruiters, you talk to them, they don't like to recruit because they're dealing
these
with 18, 19, 20-year-old entitled kids.
Demanding, commissions when it's just like, what have you done to deserve that? Yeah.
Yeah.
As a rep, as a young rep who's recruiting and building, what are some of the red flags to look for when you're looking at companies?
Yeah, I would say follow your gut. Your gut's usually right. So it doesn't matter what the offer is. It doesn't matter how good the building looks or all of the flash and the hype. And I think, in my opinion, the more flash and hype and shiny objects that they have to kind of dangle before you, the more they're hiding behind the scenes. But follow your gut. Work with people that have been and are in the position you want to be, who've had the success that you want to have, who have sold at a high level, but also done it in the right way where they didn't sell themselves out to get to that point. I think integrity and just values that the companies stand by. Like, we talk about culture all the time, but it's great to have a culture of hard work and performance and incentives and, fun. It's another to have a culture of, we value our people. People ask me all the time, like, hey, what are your goals with Ace? How big are you trying to grow? And my answer is always, I'm trying to grow at the rate that we can maintain the integrity of the experience to every single sales rep that comes through the door. That nobody gets overlooked because we just saw them as a number and put them on a 30, 40-man sales team where the manager maybe isn't at the leadership level to successfully lead that team, right? And then they don't get as much love or attention and everything else.
So as far as Ace goes, I'm curious, what do you feel like differentiates, help me understand what Ace is, or the people listening, what is Ace marketing and what was your kind of idea there? Because obviously you left... you were an owner, had a successful branch, sold it. I know Fox sold for a 3x multiple or whatever it was, which is unheard of in the pest space. But why on earth did you decide to get back into the recruiting and building Ace? What was the thought process there?
Yeah, originally when Ace started, it was because we had a number of guys who wanted to stay in door-to-door. And we had connections, we had the knowledge and the ability to negotiate a really good deal for them. So that's how we started, is we just had a core group of builders that they didn't want to sell for Fox. They didn't want to sell for someone new. They wanted to work with us. And so we just set up and probably overpaid those sales reps on being able to go out and crush it. And then those guys had a good experience, and they decided they wanted to recruit and build some teams. And so it wasn't out of intention. Ace Cooperatives
happened on accident almost.
Hey, I've been in door-to-door for 10 years. I love door-to-door. I kind of want to keep my foot in door-to-door. But I was also building an entire real estate portfolio and doing a lot of other stuff. So Ace was almost a back burner thing at the start. And then our guys... I call it hunting versus farming. Yeah. If you provide a good experience, your guys are going to want to come back. We've had an extremely high return rate. Last year we had, I want to say 60 sales guys and only one not come back.
That's insane.
We had two not finish the summer.
Yeah.
But only one is not coming back. So that was the intention behind it, is to just continue to provide a top-notch experience. Ace means the top. Or the best, right? If you're playing poker, Ace is one of the best cards you can draw.
Yeah.
And then cooperatives meaning we have a network of 300 plus operators that want door-to-door growth. So we can cooperate with managers who maybe are unhappy at their current company, but own their downline, and plug and play them into a different model where we're a strategic partner in helping them grow.
When you say own your downline, what do you mean by that?
Yeah, owning your downline means you're recruiting and signing your sales reps to you, and not to some company. And it's fine to work and be employed by a company, but if you don't own your downline, meaning you don't own the rights to take your team where you want to take them, with or without that being with that company in the picture, then you don't own your downline. You're building somebody else's empire. And for the time that you're at the company, that's fine, right? But what we see all the time in door-to-door pest control is somebody will build 2 or 3 sales teams. They'll have a network of 40, 50, 60 sales guys.
Yeah.
And then the company will change something. They'll disagree as a leadership core, but they can't do anything about it, because if they left, they would violate their non-solicit, they'd get sued, and lawsuits get tossed around all the time in door-to-door, and it's unfortunate. I've never sued anybody. I hope to never sue anybody. That's never part of my intention. But I see it all the time where guys are unhappy. They feel like they're stuck, and the reason they're stuck is they don't own their downline. They've signed all of the reps that they've put the blood, sweat, and tears and recruiting, managing, and training. They're your guys. They're not the company's guys, but on paper, they're the company's. They're not yours. So,
yeah, and it just blows my mind, because like so many young guys are dealing with these companies that are so experienced. I mean, older executives in these companies who've been in the industry for 20 plus years, telling these young guys to go out and work, and they build something. They train, they put all their blood, sweat, and tears into training and training material and building an onboarding system and everything. And then they have no ownership to that.
Mm-hmm. Imagine you get pitched equity in a pest control company. And so you put in the blood, sweat, tears of going out, knocking doors, putting on accounts, recruiting, training a sales team to go out and put on revenue. And you have, let's just say it's 50% equity in that branch. But if you ever choose to leave, that equity goes to zero. Do you actually have equity?
No.
You don't.
Yeah.
You have it for the time in which you're with that company, but it's handcuffs, right? Now, in equity, when you get equity in a branch, like when I did with Fox, if I left, I actually had equity. I could sell out early. Maybe I wouldn't get the multiple I would by waiting, but I actually had equity.
Yeah.
That's what I mean by owning your downline, is you build all these reps, you don't own them. Because if you ever decided to leave, you can't take them with you. So are they actually your sales reps? They're not. They're the company's sales reps.
Yeah.
But guys don't realize that you can change that, and you can sign guys to your own company, and you can negotiate with owners of companies and say, hey, I want to own the rights to my team. And maybe it's a little too late on the guys you already have. But all the new blood, all the new recruits that you sign, you should sign them to yourself. So...
Well, I learned that lesson a little bit too late. I only had 100 sales reps, and so I know how that is. So for all the young reps out there, I take this to heart, because if you're gonna go through all the blood, sweat, and tears and hard work to recruit and train and pour your heart and soul out into these guys, you want to be able to take them and do what's best for them. And you are doing them a disservice when you sign them to a company. Let's say they get bought out, and a new private equity guy wants to just come in and change all the rules, change the retention, make you sign 10-year contracts to your customers. You'll have no say in that, and there's nothing you can do. And that's a tough spot to be in.
100%.
Is there anything else you want to touch on as far as that topic goes? I mean, I know a lot of reps, me, myself, and a lot of the people listening to this podcast are probably going to be thinking about, what you do with your money after pest control. I mean, obviously you have a real estate portfolio. How old are you, Marshall?
I'm 31.
You're 31 years old.
Yep.
You have a full-on real estate portfolio. I know you have investments, and you've gone down that route. Like, what would you tell the reps or these new upcomers who are making a whole bunch of money and don't know what to do with it? Like, what are some of the mistakes they've made?
Yeah. I mean, I think there's this false infatuation with real estate. I love real estate, but it does require that you know what you're doing. If you don't know what you're doing, you can go wrong. So if a sales rep's in this space and they're making good money, or they're on track to make good money, and they don't have a desire to learn an entire space like real estate and take risks that can go wrong, then I would just say put it in an index fund. You know what you're going to get in an index fund over time. It's going to grow at 8 to 12% per year. Real estate, I like. There's the controversy of, a lot of sales guys think that in order to get off the doors and not knock doors forever, they need to get equity into a branch, or they need to go start their own pest control company. And that's one way of doing it. But it doesn't come without its pros and cons. And the reason we did Ace, and we've continued to do Ace, is it's scalable. I can scale this much faster than if I wanted to open. We've got about 8 to 10 sales teams going out this year, and we had 3 last year. I can't imagine trying to open 5 to 7 new branch locations in 1 year, on top of doing the recruiting, managing, and training. So you can make good money in selling your own accounts, managing, getting a marketing deal or whatever, and then just invest that into something that is going to pay you cash flow, right? So real estate. Then you can also get off the doors, where whether I knock a door or not, I've got a set amount of money coming in the door every single month, that I don't have that same pressure I used to have of, dude, if I don't knock doors, I'm not going to make any money this month.
Yeah.
I have to do equity to get cash flow. No, you can do it the other way. You can get equity in a real estate portfolio.
So give me kind of a little bit of background on how you went about investing. So you made some money. I mean, year one, you made a good chunk of change selling 1,200 general pest accounts. Was that when you got your first property, or what did that look like?
I think I bought my first property the year before that.
When you were in solar.
Okay. Yeah. And I bought a house that I underwrote probably 100 to 200 homes, meaning online, just scrolling the internet.
What?
Running the math through a spreadsheet to figure out which ones I actually wanted to go look at. So of 100 to 200 homes, I underwrote all of those.
Yeah.
Each of that maybe takes 10 to 15 to 20 minutes to underwrite. And then I looked at 10 to 20 homes in person. And then I bought my first house, and that house, I knew what I was going to do with it before I bought it. I knew I was going to take out a stairwell. I was going to put in a wall. I was going to make a non-conforming duplex, and that the basement rent would cover the mortgage. And then everything on top of that from renting the upstairs would be cash flow. So I did that. I got my feet wet. And I actually also, it's my best
numbers guy.
It's my best property by far.
Yeah.
From an IRR standpoint. But it also has turned me off from doing single family because it's a lot of headache. Like now I have my mom, she's a property manager for the house. I don't deal with it because it took up too much time. So even though the returns were there, the headache and the time was higher.
Yeah.
So now I go after, whether that's through partnerships or on my own, buying properties that are, 16, 32, 100 units, where you just have one management company that's managing the whole thing.
Okay. Jeez Louise. It always blows my mind to hear how you're kind of a nerd.
I am.
In some ways. Yeah. Like to go through, underwrite that many properties and figure it out. How old were you when you did that?
23.
23.
Yeah.
And how many properties do you have now?
Oh, it's hard. I don't even know. I have over 120 doors of real estate, but some of those are by way of owning 25% of a 100-unit complex.
Okay.
Right. So I do a lot of syndications, a lot of private placement. Whether it's a syndicate or a private placement, we could do a private placement, right?
Yeah.
That just means me, you, and 2 or 3 other guys are going to put our money together to go get a big property. Right?
Okay.
well, I own that property, but I don't. We do.
Yeah.
Right. So I have over 120 doors of real estate, but.
And as far as like the knowledge, like how did you go about getting the knowledge to get into this? Like obviously for me looking at that, like that's a lot of risk. I would feel like, and you just kind of jumped in. Like where did you go about learning this? And yeah.
I don't think there's anything you can't learn if you put your head to it and you go online. So a lot of it was self-taught, but also just finding the right people that have a bit more experience and that you trust to kind of get your feet wet at the start. So doing some deals with some guys that have done it before, that know what they're doing, all of that. But when I bought my first house, right, I learned how to underwrite properties through bigger pockets.
Okay.
They had a whole breakdown. I had my own spreadsheet. I tried to do everything I could right. But some of the best advice I got was from a young men's leader from when I was, I don't know, 10, 12 years old in the church, who said, once you buy your first property, you got to do everything you can to make sure you're buying the right one, and then you have to make it work. It's not going to be perfect. You're going to learn, like, dang it, man, I should have done that. When I did the inspection, I should have had them check for flood damage. They didn't, or we failed to, right? So it ended up costing me some money. When I first started renting out to tenants, I didn't have the best vetting process of my tenants. I ended up having to show up one day with a police officer and evict somebody from the upstairs.
No kidding. What happened there?
Their dog was always, they just left their dog home all the time.
Yeah.
It was barking nonstop, causing disruption to all the neighbors. They were not paying rent on time. They were kind of reckless and causing disruption to the family that was living below. So instead of going through the whole 30-day eviction process, which can then turn into 2 or 3 months, I learned the lesson that I just pay them. Hey, so obviously it's not a good fit. You don't want to be here. We don't want you to be here. If I give you $500 cash, can you move out by the end of the week and find somewhere new? Right? Give them a little incentive. That was the best $500 I ever spent, because if it went through the true eviction process, it would have cost thousands of dollars. Not in court fees, but in not getting rent for the next 1 to 2 to 3 months of that family staying in that property.
So if you were to go back and do it differently, or you were giving advice to a 22-year-old kid right now, like what would you tell him if he's on the doors, I guess? Almost like you're creating a path for this rep. He gets into door to door, he starts making some money. What would you do differently, number one? And number two, what would you tell the 22-year-old rep who's in that position right now? I guess that's kind of the same question.
Yeah, I wouldn't fall trap to the whole make a bunch of money and spend a bunch of money. We see that all the time in door to door, where guys go out, they make more money than they've ever had, and they don't know what to do with it. So plan ahead on what you're going to do when you make your money, versus being surprised and buying worldly, materialistic things that depreciate in value. Don't go buy the nice car. I love Robert Kiyosaki, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Have your assets pay for your liabilities. So buy a couple properties and have those properties generate income that is enough to cover the car payment for the car you want. But don't do the first.
Yeah, buy the car.
Don't buy the car first. Find people that are in the space that, again, have been where you want to be and have had success.
Yeah, 100%.
And whether they're in your company or out of your company, work with them, right? There's guys that I'm sure, had I made the initiative early on, I could have gained a lot of knowledge. Maybe I had to pay them because they weren't in the company and it was their time, or take them out to lunch or whatever and pick their mind. I'm baffled at how little I think that happens. The guys are willing to take guys out to lunch to try to recruit them, but they won't take a top guy out for lunch to pick their mind.
Yeah.
It's like today with social media, there's so much networking that could be done that's not.
So true.
And I think most guys are givers. I'm a big believer that it's like, hey, I will teach you, I will share all my knowledge with anybody, whether or not you work with me. Because if I can add value up front, and I can add enough value up front, eventually, whether it's door to door, whether it's real estate, whether it's something else down the road, we're going to have a connection, you're going to have trust, and we might do something together that's mutually beneficial.
Yeah.
So,
no, and I was just having a conversation with Connor Hill yesterday about the same thing with recruiting. Like, some of the best recruiters understand that it's a long-term game.
mm-hmm.
Like, you play the long term, you become friends with somebody, you try to recruit them, but you don't, push and treat it like a pest sale. It's not a transaction, and over time, eventually that rep will call you one day and say, yo, bro, this happened at my company. What do you got going on where you're at? And I see that happen all the time.
Yeah.
You were talking about social media. I'm kind of curious to hear about this. This is an interesting question. I feel like there's a lot of sales advice on social media. What do you think is some of the biggest fluff or worst sales advice that you hear on a regular basis?
Oh, there's a lot on social media that I shake my head to.
Yeah.
That I'm like, who gave this person a platform? But it's good. I mean, they're putting themselves out there. They're taking a risk. Be yourself. I think that's nonsense.
Mm-hmm.
That, hey, to be good at sales, you just kind of need to find a way to be yourself.
Yeah.
I think you can be yourself, but you need skill and you need structure.
Mm-hmm.
And being yourself and talking and being who you normally are isn't going to help you make sales. If I was just myself, I would be the same introvert when I'm on the doors. I wouldn't have the confidence in talking to people. I wouldn't even be on the doors if I was being myself.
Yeah.
Right?
Like, and also, what are you supposed to do? Because I understand the principle of, like, of being authentic with people, because people pick up on transparency and they'll trust you if you are authentically yourself. But for a first-year rep, they'll listen to that advice and go, well, what does that mean? I feel like that's tough. So, yeah, I definitely hear you there.
Being authentic and being yourself are two different things.
Yeah.
You can give me a script as a rookie, and I have not sold door to door before. You can give me a script. I can follow that script, and I can deliver it in a authentic, confident, calm, and composed manner without being myself. If I'm just being myself, I might go out and talk too much, or be too excited, or not be as calm and cool as a seasoned sales rep would be.
Yeah. So I have a few more questions here.
Yeah.
When you're looking at sales reps, what psychological profile do you believe makes the best salesperson? Like, what traits have you noticed over these past few years recruiting and managing that make somebody a great salesman?
I would say is obsessiveness. When you see somebody who's obsessed about their diet, or they're obsessed about just the small, ordinary, day-to-day things, I know that that's going to transition into being obsessed on the doors. And it just takes a level of obsessiveness to be successful. That, yes, work ethic is important. Discipline is important. Developing the skill and being a good salesman is important. But if you're not obsessed, you're not going to have those to the same degree. So,
would you say you're pretty obsessed?
Oh yeah, yeah. You gotta, tear me away from some stuff if I get too focused on it. So.
Yeah, I get like that myself. Do you believe? Because this one floats around a lot. This question: do you believe there is such thing as a natural-born salesman, or is that a myth?
No, it's a myth, 100%. I think your childhood can mold and shape your work ethic and your outlook and your self-belief and confidence. Right? You'll meet 18-year-olds that have twice the confidence as some grown adults, and you'll meet 18-year-olds who have very piss-poor work ethic and some that have amazing work ethic. They weren't born that way. They were conditioned that way through their childhood. But being a good salesman has just as much to do with skill and repetition and practice and awareness and improvement and self-reflection as it does being born with any certain traits.
Really? So, see, I would actually disagree with you there, because I do believe that there is such thing as a natural born salesman. And yes, it has to do with skill. Nobody's going to be born with advanced objection handling frameworks and objection prevention skills. But to some extent, right, like our environment, I guess not born, but
you can be 18 and be far more conditioned to be a great salesman than another 18-year-old who is not conditioned to be as good of a salesman, right? Because those two had vastly different childhoods. One had to walk to and from school every day, had to kind of make his own way, pay for his own groceries, work jobs. The other just lived on mom and daddy's money, right? They're going to be vastly different sales guys when they get into the workplace because they were conditioned differently. But I just meant born. I don't know if anyone's born.
Yeah. I see what you're saying. Okay. So, last question. If there was one person in the public sphere who you think would be an absolute animal on the doors, who would be that person?
That's not on the doors right now?
It's not on the doors right now. Like in the public sphere, could be an actor. It could be a political figure. It could be somebody on Instagram, an influencer. Who do you feel like would absolutely crush it at sales?
I think Tom Cruise in his prime when he was young probably be really good at sales.
Yeah.
I mean, he's a hard-working dude. I mean, he directs his own stuff, does his own stunts. He's obviously good at acting. Short. Usually most short guys do pretty good at sales as well because they've got that chip on their shoulder. So,
okay.
I don't know.
Cool. Well, dude, Marshall, appreciate you. You're an animal. Thank you for being on the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah, stoked, dude. Thanks for coming out.
Yeah, of course.